The world is watching Crimea like never before. Tensions are rising, nations are on edge, and a single move could change global politics forever. Why is Crimea suddenly at the center of fear? Let's dive in. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most critical geopolitical hotspots in the world, Crimea. For decades, this region has been a point of tension, but recently, the world's focus on Crimea has intensified like never before. Why is that happening now? Why is Crimea suddenly at the center of global fear? Crimea is not just a peninsula in the Black Sea. It is a symbol of power, military strategy, and political influence. Its location provides direct access to important maritime routes, giving any nation that controls it a huge strategic advantage. Over the past few years, military activities, troop movements, and international negotiations have escalated, drawing global attention. Political analysts suggest that the recent actions by both Russia and Ukraine, combined with international sanctions and military alliances, have created an environment of uncertainty. Countries around the world are watching closely, assessing the risks to regional and global stability. Investors, governments, and global organizations are increasingly cautious, as Crimea's situation can impact energy supplies, trade routes, and even international security agreements. Understanding why the world is suddenly afraid requires looking beyond headlines. We need to examine military capabilities, political intentions, and historical claims. In this video, we will break it all down in detail, section by section, to help you understand the true stakes behind Crimea's sudden rise in global attention. Crimea's history is complex and has played a significant role in shaping current fears. Once part of the Russian Empire, it later became part of the Soviet Union and was then transferred to Ukraine in 1954. This historical transition created a lasting tension between Russia and Ukraine, with both nations having deep claims over the peninsula. In recent years, Crimea's annexation by Russia in 2014 triggered global condemnation and sanctions, increasing its strategic importance. The international community has remained wary, as any escalation could spark broader conflicts in Eastern Europe. Military analysts point out that Crimea is home to crucial naval bases and military infrastructure. Control over these installations allows dominance in the Black Sea region, influencing both trade and military operations. Additionally, Crimea's geopolitical position makes it a hotspot for intelligence and surveillance operations. Global powers monitor troop movements, missile installations, and naval exercises closely. Every political statement or military maneuver generates international concern. For smaller countries, Crimea's instability represents potential ripple effects in energy supplies, trade disruptions, and regional security threats. As tensions rise, media coverage amplifies fears, making it appear as though the world is suddenly afraid. Yet, this perception is rooted in real geopolitical shifts, strategic military placements, and political maneuvering. In the coming sections, we'll examine how global alliances, energy politics, and military advancements are shaping the world's cautious approach to Crimea, turning it into a central figure in international strategy. One of the primary reasons Crimea has captured global fear is its military significance. The region hosts key naval bases, including Russia's Black Sea Fleet headquarters. This fleet controls critical maritime routes, enabling Russia to project power into the Mediterranean and beyond. Analysts argue that Crimea's military installations give Russia an upper hand in regional conflicts, deterring opposition and influencing international negotiations. Recent satellite images show continuous fortification, troop deployment, and missile defense upgrades. These developments signal readiness for potential conflicts, heightening tensions in the region. NATO countries are monitoring these movements closely, as any escalation could trigger broader international involvement. The strategic location also allows rapid deployment of forces to surrounding areas, making Crimea a key player in regional security calculations. Beyond military bases, Crimea's airfields, radar installations, and communication infrastructure enhance its defensive and offensive capabilities. These facilities are critical for surveillance, early warning systems, and coordinating regional military operations. Even minor changes in Crimea's defense posture are analyzed by global intelligence agencies, creating an atmosphere of heightened alert. Moreover, the presence of advanced weapon systems, including missiles with long-range capabilities, has alarmed neighboring countries and international powers. The combination of history, military buildup, and strategic positioning explains why Crimea is perceived as a high-risk zone. In upcoming sections, we'll explore how energy politics, international diplomacy, and public perception further amplify this fear, making Crimea a focal point of global attention. Crimea's energy resources also play a major role in the world's growing concern. The peninsula is strategically located near key gas and oil routes in the Black Sea region. Control over Crimea allows influence on regional energy supplies, which can affect prices and availability in Europe and beyond. Nations dependent on energy imports watch these developments carefully, as any disruption could trigger economic and political repercussions. Offshore drilling sites and pipelines near Crimea have become points of interest for energy companies and governments alike. Recent tensions have raised fears that these vital resources could be targeted or disrupted in times of conflict. This makes Crimea not only a military hotspot, but also an economic pressure point. Energy analysts warn that even minor instability in the region can cause ripple effects, increasing global market volatility. Political leaders recognize that energy security is intertwined with military presence. For example, naval control over shipping lanes ensures uninterrupted flow of energy and trade, giving the controlling power significant leverage. Countries that rely on these supplies may feel compelled to respond diplomatically or militarily, creating a cycle of tension. Combined with military fortifications, historical claims, and geopolitical positioning, Crimea's energy significance magnifies global fear. Understanding this aspect explains why nations are suddenly paying unprecedented attention. In the next section, we will explore how international alliances and diplomatic strategies contribute further to this rising apprehension. International alliances play a crucial role in shaping the world's perspective on Crimea. Organizations like NATO and the European Union closely monitor the region due to its potential impact on regional security. Their involvement is not direct yet, but political statements, military exercises, and sanctions demonstrate that Crimea is more than a local issue. Countries aligned with these alliances view Crimea as a potential flashpoint. Any escalation could trigger mutual defense commitments or economic repercussions. This interconnectedness makes the world highly sensitive to developments there. Analysts note that even small incidents can be magnified due to treaty obligations and alliance structures. Diplomatic strategies also increase tension. Negotiations over sanctions, peace talks, and international mediation highlight how Crimea is a central bargaining point. Leaders often use Crimea to signal power, assert influence, or pressure opponents, which adds unpredictability. The media coverage of these diplomatic exchanges amplifies public perception, creating a sense of urgency and fear worldwide. Furthermore, global organizations such as the United Nations closely monitor military deployments and civilian impact in Crimea. Their reports often influence public opinion and policy decisions in multiple countries, reinforcing the narrative that Crimea is a critical global concern. In this environment, the fear surrounding Crimea is not exaggerated. It is grounded in strategic, military, and diplomatic realities. In the next section, we'll examine how historical tensions and cultural significance further amplify global concern, adding layers to why Crimea has become a focal point of fear. Historical tensions and cultural significance make Crimea even more central to global attention. Crimea is home to diverse ethnic groups, including Russians, Ukrainians, and Crimean Tatars. Each group carries historical memories and claims tied to the region, creating deep-rooted political and social complexity. These historical narratives influence present-day tensions and shape international perceptions. For instance, Russia cites historical ties as a justification for its actions, emphasizing past sovereignty and cultural connection. Ukraine, on the other hand, highlights legal and political claims, framing Crimea as an integral part of its territory. These conflicting narratives attract global media coverage and diplomatic commentary, keeping the region in constant international focus. Cultural and religious sites also make Crimea symbolically important. Control over these sites is not merely symbolic, it reinforces political narratives and legitimacy claims. Public sentiment, fueled by cultural identity and historical memory, can drive both local and international responses, making any tension appear more significant than a purely military or political issue. The global community observes these dynamics closely because historical grievances often escalate conflicts unexpectedly. Understanding Crimea's cultural and historical layers explains why the world treats the region with caution. In the next section, we will explore economic impacts and trade implications that add another dimension to why Crimea is feared globally. Crimea's economic impact extends beyond its borders, affecting trade and commerce in the region. Its strategic location along the Black Sea makes it a hub for shipping routes, connecting Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. Control over these routes gives any power in Crimea a significant advantage in trade and logistics. International businesses monitor developments closely, as disruptions in the region can halt shipments, delay supplies, and increase costs. Ports in Crimea are vital for both commercial and military shipping, making them a point of concern for governments and corporations alike. Even minor political instability can affect shipping insurance rates and create market uncertainty. Tourism and local industries also face uncertainty due to geopolitical tensions. Restricted access and fluctuating security conditions impact investments, real estate, and international partnerships. Countries with economic interests in the region watch every development, ensuring that political and military changes are quickly assessed for potential risk. Economic vulnerability adds another layer to the fear surrounding Crimea. Global investors and governments understand that instability here can have cascading effects on regional and international markets. Trade disruptions, energy dependency, and investment risks combine to heighten attention. In the next section, we'll examine how media coverage and public perception amplify the world's fear, making Crimea appear even more volatile than it already is. Media coverage plays a critical role in shaping global perception of Crimea. News outlets, social media platforms, and international correspondents focus on Crimea as a symbol of tension and instability. Continuous updates on military movements, political statements, and regional events create a heightened sense of urgency and fear. Images and videos of troop deployments, naval exercises, and political rallies are shared worldwide, often framing Crimea as a potential flashpoint. Headlines emphasize uncertainty, potential conflict, and geopolitical consequences, which amplifies public concern. Even minor incidents can be portrayed as significant threats due to the narrative of global attention. Public perception is influenced not only by media reports, but also by commentary from experts, analysts, and influencers. Their insights, often shared across multiple platforms, reinforce the idea that Crimea's situation could have worldwide repercussions. Governments and organizations respond to this perception, implementing policy decisions or military readiness measures, which further reinforces the narrative. Social media also plays a role in spreading fear quickly. Viral posts, debates, and discussions make the international audience aware of Crimea's strategic importance. Even without direct involvement, ordinary citizens and businesses begin to perceive risk, affecting markets, travel, and public opinion. Understanding media influence is key to understanding why Crimea is suddenly at the center of global fear. In the next section, we will explore international security concerns and potential conflicts that escalate the stakes even further. International security concerns drive much of the fear surrounding Crimea. Military experts warn that Crimea could become a flashpoint for regional or even global conflicts. Its strategic location allows rapid deployment of forces and advanced weapon systems, making escalation a real possibility. Neighboring countries closely monitor the peninsula for any changes in military posture. The presence of long-range missiles, naval fleets, and fortified bases means that even minor provocations can be interpreted as threats. This environment of caution affects international diplomacy, trade, and defense strategies. Global powers are cautious because any misstep in Crimea could trigger treaty obligations, mutual defense clauses, or sanctions. Countries outside the region also watch closely, as instability in Crimea can impact energy supplies, trade routes, and international alliances. Security analysts often compare Crimea's potential risk to other high-tension zones, noting that historical conflicts have escalated quickly when multiple powers are involved. International exercises, intelligence gathering, and diplomatic negotiations are intensified due to Crimea's significance. The world's military planners and policymakers treat the region as a high-priority zone. This combination of military capability, strategic location, and global attention explains why Crimea is a central focus of fear. In the final section, we'll explore future scenarios, potential outcomes, and what this means for the world, rounding out our full understanding of Crimea's rising global importance. Looking ahead, the future of Crimea remains uncertain, which fuels global concern. Analysts present several possible scenarios, ranging from continued tension to localized conflicts or even broader international involvement. Each scenario carries risks for regional stability, energy security, and global trade. Diplomatic efforts will continue to play a role in managing tensions. Negotiations, international mediation, and alliance discussions aim to prevent escalation. However, the presence of powerful military forces, historical claims, and economic stakes makes resolution complicated. Even minor incidents could trigger larger consequences, keeping global attention sharply focused on Crimea. Countries around the world are preparing contingencies for potential disruptions. Governments are analyzing risk, planning military readiness, and coordinating with international allies. The economic impact of instability, including trade disruption and energy supply concerns, adds urgency to these preparations. Understanding Crimea's strategic significance helps explain why the world is suddenly afraid. Its military importance, energy resources, historical claims, cultural significance, and media attention all combine to create a high-alert environment. Citizens, businesses, and policymakers globally recognize that developments in Crimea can have consequences far beyond its borders. If you found this video insightful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell to stay updated on the latest global developments. Comment below your thoughts on Crimea and how it affects the world. Stay informed, stay alert, and thank you for watching.